Hey, this is Mike, and you're watching Reelblack. And today we are with producer, mega uber producer, Jason Blum, who is responsible for The Purge.
The Purge was a great concept that James DeMonaco, who wrote and directed the movie, came up with. And basically this is set in the not too far off future in America. And there's a new law, which everyone has been fighting the recession and fighting unemployment, either government spending or less government spending, and they decided that there's going to be a new law. And the law is for 12 hours a year, so one night a year, all crime is legal. And there are stipulations, like you can't drop a nuclear bomb, but you can kill people, and it's legal. And what this has done is reduced unemployment to zero, and it's made the economy hum. And this in the movie, the Purge, which is what this is called, has gone on for 5 or 6 years. So it's not the first time, and it's about mom and dad and 2 kids, Ethan Hawke and his wife, and his movie wife, and it's their experience through this one night. And every other night of the Purge, the family's been fine. But needless to say, this year, in the night of the Purge, something very bad happens, and the night doesn't go like anybody had hoped.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, it reminded me of like Clockwork Orange, Assault on Precinct 13, The Strangers. It has all the suspenseful elements that the fans are going to really go for. The morals are kind of skewed. We don't know what side to take, because like as horror fans, we are attuned to the revenge fantasy.
Right.
But
right.
These people, they're kind of like straw dogs. They're a little pacifist in nature. I mean, what do you think? What do you hope audiences take away from this as far as moralistic ideas?
Well, I think there are a lot of different themes in it, but I hope that the one kind of common theme is that it's a very, very violent movie, but it's against violence. You know, it's an anti-violence, violent movie. It's hard to come out against violence without depicting it in some way or another. So I do think that's pretty clear in the movie, that it doesn't advocate violence. On the other hand, when we've screened the movie, we screened it for people on the left and people on the right, and both sides have come out saying, you know, this really affirms my beliefs. So I don't think the movie takes really a political. Actually, I think it does take a political point of view, but whoever comes to see it seems to think so too, but they think it takes their point of view. So I think you bring your politics to it to a certain degree.
You worked in Hollywood on stuff like Tooth Fairy and like major budget films. What led you to this model?
Tooth Fairy was a big part of it. You just have no control when you're doing a movie of that size. The financier, rightly so, when the financier is putting up $70 million, they have the final say on almost everything. And as a producer, I didn't find that a very satisfying job. So I don't pursue bigger budget movies, because I don't want to produce more expensive movies, because there's no way to not give up that control, and I'd much rather only get paid if the movies work and kind of roll the dice with the financier. And then they trust me and they allow me to make the creative decisions, and I give that power to the writer-directors. The Sinister, Insidious, The Purge, Paranormal are all like very specific visions of the people who wrote and directed those movies. You know, I have no aspirations to be a director, so I kind of set up the system. I pick people who I believe in, and I let them do what they want to do. And although that sounds simple, it doesn't happen very often in the Hollywood system.
Have you sat down in your quiet moments and figured out exactly how much money you've generated in box office receipts?
No, I pay someone to do that and tell me the good news.
It's quite an amazing story. We have a lot of filmmakers watching, so I'm really interested in this business model. And do you think it can work for other people outside the horror genre?
So our model, we have a really specific model. I don't make any movies over, I have no desire to make movies over a certain amount of money. $4 or $5 million is kind of upper end of this. And the reason that we do that is because by making movies inexpensively, we kind of maintain total creative control. And if you were a filmmaker and you would said to me, what kind of movie can I make for you? The way I answer that is I say we do low budget, wide release. So can your story be told for not an enormous amount of money, not an enormous amount of special effects, not a gazillion locations, but would it play at a Cineplex as opposed to the art house? And that's a long answer to your question. We've done, I think it'll work with like cousins of horror. Like I think it'll work with a thriller. I think it'll work with, there's a low budget action version of what we're trying to do. We're working on an erotic thriller. The two genres I don't think it works in is drama, and I don't think it works in comedy. But I think the other genres were and this is, The Purge it's not supernatural, it's a scary movie, but Insidious, Sinister, Paranormal Activity, all supernatural. And this is, I think, more relatable and scarier because it's a completely real life situation.
So why not drama? Why not comedy?
Drama, low budget drama by definition is a traditional independent movie. So that would play at art houses. Those movies, low budget dramas just don't get widely released. I think comedy is much more contingent on movie stars. And so if you think back in the last 10 years, what's a comedy that was made for under $3 million that was released on 3,000 screens? There's Napoleon Dynamite, maybe that's it, And I think the reason is that you need a big name in comedy, and with big name comes a big budget. So that's why I think that those two genres don't work in what I'm doing.
That's awesome. So what's next? I mean, I know you have a full slate.
So we have Insidious 2, which comes up in September, and then we have Paranormal 5, which comes up in October, and then we have a voodoo movie called Jezebel, which comes out in January. So those are the next three on deck.
Wow, I'm really glad that you came to Philly just to share with us for our filmmaker fans, as well as our horror buffs. And I hope people will come out in June to see The Purge.
Me too. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
We're gonna make it through tonight, and everything is gonna be okay.
Nothing is ever going to be okay again.
My name is Jason Blum, and you're watching Reelblack.